Hey, what's up everyone? Juan's here. This update packs some sweet improvement in common functionality and sleeker dashboard experience. But the real star of this new release is design tokens. In this first iteration, you can harness their power to level up your design workflow. And it doesn't stop here. The Penpot team, in collaboration with Token Studio, will keep refining and adding features to make design tokens even more awesome in future releases. Sound exciting? Let's dive right in. Design tokens are the fundamental elements of our design system. Essentially, they store key values such as colors, spacing, typography, border styles, and other properties that define the visual appearance of your product. In other words, they are visual styles that determine the look and feel of our components and elements, providing consistency and personality to our design. So, for example, we have the classic button. Its text color is black and the button background color is white. So these two colors serve as example of design tokens that can be used in the button as well as in other elements. We would start with global. At this level, we name the raw values, the key values. In this case, we have a color that we have called green 300. Then we would move on to a second level, the alias. In this case, the alias refers to the brand, that is, our design system will have, a specific usage and design decisions regarding visual styles. For example, our green 300 is the primary color we use in our design system, which is why we call it color primary default. We would then move to a third level, the semantic tokens. This is where tokens gain much more potential, because given the specific context, we can incorporate into their names. We can be much more precise in their usage. In this case, our primary color is the one we will use as the background for our primary buttons. So we name it button primary background. This makes our intent much more explicit. These tokens can be reused in other parts of the design system, but we will further specify them with additional semantic tokens. In essence, the light and dark themes of our applications is greatly facilitated by tokens because they allow us to deeply customize and personalize styles throughout our designs, and then with a single click change them while designing. And multi-branding is a bit more complex, where we can use themes to create different brand styles. These themes will have subsets that allow us to configure themes such as light and dark modes, but also, for example, adaptations for the device we are designing for, pixel density, and so on. A new tab has appeared in the left sidebar alongside layers and assets. When you click on it, you can start managing both the themes and the token sets. And within each of them, you have the types of tokens allow you to modify. Alright, so as an example, I've brought that could be an excerpt from a design system. I say it's an excerpt because here, as a designer, I have already made several design decisions, not only on the color palette for the dark and light theme that my buttons will have, but I've also made a decision about the name I've given to the global tokens and how I'll reference them in terms of the alias that indicates their use in my design system. In this case, mint 100 color will be my primary color in dark mode, and the purple 100 color will be my primary color in the light mode. Then the semantic tokens in white indicate the specific usage and provide a lot of context regarding the applicability of these tokens. So since we are working on buttons, the button prefix to work on our primary button, its background, and in the default state. Alright, so let's start by creating our first set, which we've decided to call it global. We activated, important, and now we can start creating our first tokens. Call it mint 100, mention alien and paste the value. I can paste the value or type manually or click on the color to use the color picker. Okay, below there is a description field that allows us to add documentation or make references to another token. This is very useful when the tokens are more complex or semantic. Now I have my color created. If I hover it, I can see that Penpot provides information without having to open the token, such as its name and its values. So next, the following token, which will be our mint 200. Okay, I paste the color and save it. Alright, I'm going to continue creating the rest of the tokens and we proceed from here.
A few tokens later.
Okay, now I have already registered the tokens related to colors, border radius, spacing, and some tokens that I've used as reference, which I have registered in the dimension category. As you can see, if I open the token, there is one called dimension base with a value of 4, and scale is a token with the value of 2. The interesting part comes when, for example, if I edit the smallest border radius, XS, we can see that its value is the dimension base minus the scale, in this case, 2. I can perform simple arithmetic operations with the tokens to achieve other values that brings consistency to my design system. As you can see, a small border radius is valued as 4, which is my dimension base. The medium border radius is the dimension base multiplied by the scale, which equals 8. And the value of the large border radius I've created is the medium border radius multiplied by the scale, resulting 16. The interesting thing here is that when I modify the scale or the dimension base, say it changes to 8, my tokens change because they use that reference. So this is super useful and has tremendous potential. Imagine how you could adapt different styles and different systems for various devices or resolutions. It's very interesting. Okay, I'm going to revert it back to 4. Okay, alright, let's continue. Now we are going to create the alias for our global tokens. It's interesting to start differentiating between tokens from the dark theme and the light theme. To do this, we are going to create a new set called alias, and by including a slash dark in the naming, a subset is created. For the alias set, I created the dark subset. I'll activate it and we'll create tokens within. As you can see, I retain my global tokens, and within the dark subset, we start creating the ones. I'm going to use, in this case, the primary color and the value of mint 100, primary dark color, another token, I will use the mint 200. And so I will continue creating and referencing the tokens.
A few tokens later.
Now I have already created my alias, referencing my dark and light tokens, as you can see here from the purples and greens. Now it's time to start creating our semantic tokens for our button. To do this, we create a new set called semantic, and within we are going to create our background color, which will be our primary color. We have here. Next, we create the color for the buttons border, which is our primary dark. Great. Finally, we create the token for the text color, which is called text. Okay. Additionally, since I don't have it identified here, but I think we'll need it, we can create another token called, let's say, button primary border radius or something like that, for example, and it will have the dimension of border radius median, which I believe was 8. Yeah, exactly. Okay, perfect. Now I have my button primary border radius and the 3 colors in the semantic set. We activate it and move on to our button, which we have here with barely any styles, but that's going to change quickly. If I select the element and go to the token, I want to apply a right click on the tokens, show me the available application options for each token. In this case, the border radius can be applied to all corners or to each one individually. I want to apply it to all. Okay. Let's apply a few more things. and the primary background will be applied as a fill to the button. The primary border will be applied as stroke, and select the text. The text token will be applied as color text. This way my button already has the primary dark style selected. If I were here to activate the light tokens, as you can see, the light reference would be activated. This is very useful and powerful. Imagine the number of components and elements we can work within our design system. But soon I'll show you how. Okay, let's take one more step in our learning about tokens in Penpot. For this, we are going to use our beloved Notes application, which we have been working hard on making extensive use of tokens. We can see that now we have two sets, one called Global, which contains a bunch of color tokens. We also have certain dimension tokens, as you can see, with multiplication and scales, as we saw before, simple mathematical operation in tokens, which are very powerful, and other spacing tokens. There are new things to explore here. What's happening here, the value inside this token has lost its reference. So in this case, the value, it's missing an operator for the mathematical operation, in this case a multiplication sign. As soon as we fix that, it becomes correct, the issue is resolved. Alright, I'm going to narrow the sidebar again, because here in our light theme, as you can see, I have created another series of convention to work with all the tokens used in my application, my design. Down here in Tools, we can import and export in JSON format. Let's export the file, download it, and go to our code editor and check out the JSON file. We see that here we have the global set with all the colors and tokens created, and here is the light, which use many fewer tokens, and most of them are references. Okay, you can edit it from here if I need, and when you import it back into Penpot, it will be override the current settings. For example, the light theme, let's copy this, and if we paste it afterwards and call it dark, save the file, and now import it and select our token JSON file that we edited in our code editor, and here the dark theme appears. Don't worry about those missing references, it is because the global styles are not selected. Okay, it's worth noting that Penpot follows a format currently undergoing standardization, as you know, the design tokens community group is proposed. Although it is still in the standardization process, it will likely become a standard soon. So, okay, let's activate the dark theme. And as you can see, Penpot detects the tokens that already exist and overrode them. I haven't lost anything at all. It has created the new dark set with the tokens I preserved in the JSON file. So now simply, if I go and edit the background token, changing the reference from the white to black, we see that all elements that had the token assigned update accordingly. If I change the default foreground from black to white, the same happens. And finally, if I change the default accent, which currently use a purple 300, very nice, change it to a blue 500, okay. In this way, super easily and simply, in just a few clicks, I've managed to create both a light theme and dark theme directly editing a JSON file. What you are looking is an application for which I've created a multi-brand approach. This is, I have different look and feels depending on the various application that the brand of this app will have. Each one has its dark and light modes and different density modes, okay? These are sets and subsets created individually starting from the globals, as you can see here. Each one has its own modifications. Okay. But how do I manage all of this to make it easier and more comprehensible? That's where themes come in. As you can see here, I have two active themes. You'll notice that I have a bunch of themes created. I have themes for dark and light. In this case, for the light theme, dark is active, and pink is also active. You'll see the look and feel change. If I activate blue here, the look and feel change again, and if I activate light, each one's interact with its token and variables and alias. So how do I create themes? Themes are a set of sets and subsets that are related to each other and together modify the visual I've created. To see this more clearly, let's look at the themes list. These are the themes I've created: dark and light modes, different themes for look and feel, and density settings. If you enter each one, you'll see collections of themes and sub-themes. For example, the active look and feel theme purple is composed for the global tokens and the alias created for purple. That along with everything else I can activate in different themes give me these results, for instance. So as you can see here, in the look and feel section, among the created colors, I have purples, but also have pinks, blues, and one set for greens. However, I'm not using the greens yet. I'm going to create them as a theme within the theme section, where I'm creating the different look and feels. I call it green, and when I create it, you can see that there is no active set yet. So let's choose them. As we mentioned earlier, we need to start from the globals, which are the base values, and then activate the green tokens. Now it's active, so it's been created. If I go back to the theme section, we see that green is there too, and if I activate it, the tokens are overwritten. And as you can see, I can also switch to dark. Ta-da! And that's a wrap up on Penpot 2.6, people. I hope you are as excited as I am about these new design tokens and the fresh improvement we did. If you have any thoughts or questions, drop them in the comments below. We'd love to hear how you plan to use these features in your design workflow. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss any future update. Thank you for watching and take care.